Welcome back. Now, the Socio-Economic Rights Institute says it will not be intimidated by threats of being closed down following the march last week by anti-immigration group Operation Dudula to the offices of Seri in Johannesburg. Now, last week, independent media reported that despite heavy police presence monitoring the situation, tensions were high as two opposing protests between Operation Dudula and Abahlali Basa Zondo converge on the corner of Yorison and Mel Street in Braamfontein. Joining me now, I'd like to welcome the Executive Director of Seri, Nomzamo. Zondo, Nomzamo, always good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for inviting us.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Nomzamo, I mean, what Operation Dudula is practically saying is that undocumented migrants are straining the healthcare systems. This is one of the gripes, of course, that they brought to your office. I just wanted to get your comment on that, given that, of course, Seri has always said that when you look at the Constitution, every South African living, whether they're South African or a migrant, deserves equal healthcare.
So I think we accept that our healthcare system is in crisis, that it's struggling to look after people living in South Africa broadly. And in fact, we've noted comments by government that there are many factors contributing to that crisis. What we object to is Operation Dudula blockading people's access to healthcare. And in fact, we were instructed in 2023 to bring a case to interdict them, to stop them from that behavior. That case was heard on the 10th and 11th of June, and we're waiting for the High Court's judgment. And that is primarily our complaint against them. In coming to our office, we're not sure what their complaint is because they failed to deliver a petition or memorandum to explain what it is that what their complaint is precisely against Seri.
Do you think it's just all noise from them, given that, of course, they were not able to hand over a memorandum? I mean, I was watching bits of it on social media and, other broadcasters. Do you feel that's maybe the case, that it's more a case of that what they're saying, that Seri is prioritizing foreign nationals rather than that of the interests of South Africans?
So we have been acting for activist communities and movements for over 15 years. In that work, we have represented many people. Amongst that list are many people who are South African, many people who identify as migrants. And this complaint of Dudula, I think I characterize it as a Dudularism. It has no connection to the work that Seri has done. Anyone who knows South Africa can go back and look at the work that we've done in relation to the housing of the poor, both in inner cities and in informal settlements. They can go back and look at our work supporting domestic workers and farm workers. They can go back and look at the work that we've done representing the families of the victims of the Marikana massacre. Seri's work can be anything. Cannot be characterized as Dudula tried to characterize it as unpatriotic or as not prioritizing the needs of South Africans. For the last 15 years, we have consistently put our legal expertise, our resident advocacy expertise at the hands of poor people who live in South Africa. And if they wanted the definition, overwhelming majority of those people being people who are South African.
Nomzamo, what, I won't say concerning, but when you look at, of course, the legislature and you look at Parliament, of course, one of the parties, Action SA, I mean, they voiced out, I won't say similar discussions to what maybe Operation Dudula has been saying, but they're saying that the healthcare system in South Africa should have South Africans first, and then obviously after that, foreign nationals. Now, of course, they don't sit within this government of national unity. They sit as part of being the opposition benches. But mere fact of them sitting as part of the opposition benches, is that a concern for Seri, that a party like that is coming out and saying that, even though you've got the Freedom Charter saying that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, Action SA is taking a different stance and saying South Africa first, the rest after that?
Look, I was once part of a conversation where an individual was pointing out that the Constitution, the position that it's healthcare for everyone, is a position that's taken by our Constitution. As a member of the opposition benches, Action SA has the opportunity to bring a motion for the change of the Constitution, has capacity to bring even to sponsor a private member's bill to address this issue, to amend the National Health Act. There are many things that are available to it on this point. What we disagree with is people taking the law onto their own hands, people intimidating people in healthcare facilities, especially sick people. And so if Action SA agrees with the position taken by Operation Dudula, then they have the wherewithal to do that within the parliamentary process. And to even seek to convince the members of the Government of National Unity, or even those that sit with them on the opposition benches on the issue.
Yeah, and of course, they have brought it forward as part of a bill. Whether, of course, it's going to be successful or not remains to be seen. Nomzamo, here's the thing about, I think, the healthcare system, and I think both you and I will agree on this. It is strained right now. It is in a difficult, precarious position. Of course, there's a number of factors. A lot of them is coming down to budgets. A lot of them, of course, is down to corruption that have happened, especially within clinics in many of the township hospitals. So how do we then find a way to go ahead and say that even though the Constitution allows for equal healthcare for all, that there is actually equal healthcare for all, and that we do not have these discussions where we're saying, put South Africans first and the rest last. I know it's going to take a lot of time, but are we at that stage where we can actually say that South Africa has a healthcare system which will allow for every single person to have the equal healthcare as enshrined in the Constitution?
So I'm a lawyer by training, but one of the things that I'm aware of is that health is held collectively. All of us know this because how COVID came into this country is that one family came from a holiday, and they came back, and when they came back, they brought the COVID-19 virus into South Africa. And similarly, anyone who believes that we can have a separate health as a country, separate people who are living in South Africa, might have lost that point. So it isn't just simply a matter of, it goes beyond the need to provide human rights to everyone. It goes the fact that actually those rights are interrelated. Our health is connected to the health of people who live with us. The reason we've been able to fight tuberculosis is because of attempts by the health system to address it everywhere. But if at any point we decide there's portions of the population that will not get healthcare, we're going to go back and regress and start having problems that have been solved decades of years ago, going back to struggle with polio, going back to a struggle with TB. And so the point is, we understand that there is a strain on the system. We understand that the public healthcare system carries 84% of the population of the country, which must be a very, very difficult thing to do. The reason why many of us support the need for the NHI. And in addressing those challenges, I don't think the response should be people taking the law into their own hands. Our position is that let's put pressure on government to get things that in the healthcare system. You mentioned that the issue is budgets, but we know for a fact that there's been underspending, even in Gauteng, of the health budget. So it's not actually that the money is not there, that there's an issue also about the management of that money. Similarly, even provinces who have complained about healthcare and the impacts of migrants on the provision of healthcare have struggled with corruption. And so when we have this conversation, it's important that we think of all of those factors.
Nomzamo, always a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's Nomzamo Zondo, the Executive Director of the Socio-Economic Rights Institute. Now, that's all we have for you here on News in Focus from myself, Ross Patel, and the rest of the team in Johannesburg. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.